Donington Park Friday morning. Monica Sips arrives in the paddock. The team have been here since Wednesday afternoon, setting up the garage and the hospitality. But now the drivers and the engineers arrive as well. And Monica, the team poised on the brink of greatness. Fabrizio Giovanardi can tie up the driver's title. Nordauto can tie up the team's title, and Alfa Romeo the manufacturer's title in the European Touring Car Championship. Well, Friday, says Monica, is normally used for the final checks on the cars, and the scrutineering, of course. We'll already have done a check at home, a shakedown, but we're very conscientious. We must double-check everything. And particularly for the new driver this weekend, Gabriele Tarquini, the 1994 British Touring Car champion with Alfa, is back behind the wheel of a red car. I've been asked to race here in order to help Giovanardi and Lorini win the title, but Giovanardi had a fantastic double win in Enna, so now there's no need to help him, but I think the Alfa drivers will win the championship, whether I can help them or not. So first duty is to head off to the drivers' briefing. Drivers and team managers meet the officials of the racetrack and each other. Rules are laid down, and the clerk of the course makes sure that everything is as it should be. And then, after the official briefings, time to debrief with the drivers and the engineers on the weekend's strategy. Saturday morning, and breakfast is bright and early, 8 a.m. Monica sits down with the drivers to prepare for the day. Everybody looks pretty relaxed, as you would do on the brink of a championship. But as soon as you get to the racetrack, things start to change. As Lorini and Giovanardi leave together, Giovanardi's thoughts are on the weather. He says, I feel pretty good, but I hope it's not going to be bad weather. Donington is Nicola Lorini's really last chance. He's got to score 2 wins to try and reel in Giovanardi's points lead. At the moment there's no team orders. We were not worrying about competition between Fabrizio and myself, but after practice we certainly will talk strategy. So during the free sessions, the driver and engineers working together to find a good setup, not only for qualifying, but of course for the vital pair of races. Nicola Lorini has never been to Donington Park in a front drive car. It'll be new to him, and he perhaps will struggle most of the front runners to find the setup. The front wheel drivers don't like the medium speed corners and the gradients. Alfa Romeo feels that BMW may have a handling advantage here, as at Oschersleben, and the corners won't help them much. We're trying to find a solution to a differential problem. This year we've used a production-based gearbox, says Andrea Adamo, Nicola Lorini's engineer. It takes a long time to change the diff. It's quicker to change the gearbox as one unit, he says. Giovanardi carrying a 30-kilo maximum weight penalty for the first time since they were adopted at Oschersleben, and he's feeling the difference in the car, especially in the cold weather. The cold temperatures are getting to the tyres, the car's sliding and they're burning the rears. Marco Calvolvo says the difficult problem with Donington, little grip because it's so cold, fast turns and the hairpins, so stability and traction are a problem, but I think we found a good balance for the race. We're feeling reasonably happy now at the end of practice. Gabriele Tarquini had first session gearbox problems. Now for his European Touring Car return, he's fastest in the free sessions. Roberto Colciago also going strongly in another Nordauto car. So Tarquini fastest in the free sessions, Lorini 6th, Colciago 8th, but Giovanardi a worryingly low 11th. At the end of the free practice session, drivers and engineers pore over the data, looking at the telemetry and trying to work out a setup. Giovanardi looking a little worried, likewise Lorini. But Tarquini's raced here many times in front-wheel drive cars, knows the circuit, and it looks as though he has got the advantage. Ready for qualifying. An hour after free practice, 30 minutes of qualifying. Giovanardi trying to stay optimistic. He's saying that the weight is a big advantage, particularly with the heavy braking at Donington Park. And the big ballsy corners like the old hairpin here. He reckons 4 or 5 fast laps, the brakes will be shot. Giovanardi in the end only beaten by Dirk Muller for pole. More than I expected, he says. I thought maybe we had a chance to be on the front row despite the weight handicap, but the car was pretty much perfect. The BMW's in front of me, but it's okay like this because I just need a few points to win the championship. And as for Nicola Larini, well, he was struggling for time. He was only 8th in qualifying. As Giovanardi was on pole, Tarquini was looking quick, so too was Colciago, but Larini was in the depths of a desperate struggle. Very disappointed, he said. I had the potential, I think, for pole, but this morning everything was okay, but something has happened to the car since the free practice. Well, Gabriele Tarquini leaning on the Alfa big style, trying to get his first pole in his first appearance this year, ended up in 3rd place, and Roberto Colciago making it red, packing the front of the grid as he's 4th. Straight after qualifying, Monica Sips is in with the stewards. What's that all about? Well, I was called in by the stewards. They told me that Giovanardi and Tarquini ran over the markers in the chicane. They didn't stay on the track, so they cancelled their best times. Giovanardi's dropped to 4th, Tarquini is down to 6th.
E quindi sono passati rispettivamente al 4º e 6º posto in classifica.
So Giovanardi and Tarquini, straight line in chicane, lost their fastest times. Colciago moves up to 2nd, Rydell 3rd, Jörg Muller in 5th place. Sunday morning, ready to race. Ready for the start, Monica Sips will watch with the crew in the garage as the procedure to set the grid gets going. And away they go, Dirk Muller from pole, Roberto Colciago from 2nd. As they race up towards the first corner, there are clashes all the way up the field. On board with Rydell, tyre smoke, Colciago is off, Muller is through. And right behind him, another BMW of Duncan Heisman. Nicola Larini is bounced up in the air, and the faces in the Nordauto garage are very tense. So problems immediately for Colciago and Larini. Larini's car badly damaged. Colciago spun off across the nose of Muller's BMW, but watch for Larini. Number 2 car bounced up in the air, squeezed between Colciago and Heisman, with Hansen right behind. For Nicola Larini, it's a gut-wrenching moment. He's straight into the pits at the end of the lap. The teams spring into action to try and make the difference, but Larini knows it's all over. Monica Sips up on the pit wall, now trying to orchestrate operations, knowing that the number 2 car has gone. There's a ferocious battle out on the racetrack. Onboard camera with Gabriele Tarquini, with Giovanardi. He squeezes past Jörg Muller as another Alfa goes into the pits. Tarquini and Giovanardi chasing up the order. Suddenly Giovanardi's across the grass, Tarquini right behind, and now going past his teammate. Dirk Muller wins the race. Ricard Rydell in 2nd. Tarquini takes 3rd. Giovanardi 4th. And with just 30 minutes between the two races, to try and get Lorini's car working is a nightmare. Everything was very dramatic right at the beginning. You can't complain about what happens, that's racing, but we've won the titles, the driver's title and the manufacturer's title, but we can't enjoy the title yet because we've got 10 minutes till race 2 starts, so we'll have a party later, but basically we're very happy so far. Unfortunately, time runs out for those working on Nicola Lorini's car. It's over for Nicola. Giovanardi will be the 2002 champion, and Lorini, well, it'll take some consoling him. On the pit wall, ready for the final race at Donington Park, Duncan Heisman taking the lead from Jörg Müller and Dirk Müller. Giovanardi and Tarquini, of course, further back in the reversed ordered grid. Giovanardi chasing Dirk Müller, and he's got Tom Coronel right behind him. Jörg Müller ahead at the end, but Monica Sips is happy. Team Nordauto take the manufacturers and drivers title. She says really it's only now starting to sink in that we've managed to do the job. It's a dream come true. And the whole team is, I think, one of the strongest in motorsport. I'm very happy. And this is the 6th consecutive title for our team. Right now, I'm actually a little bit emotional. I apologise. Well, with Giovanardi in '97, she won the Spanish Touring Car Championship, and Giovanardi has won titles with them ever since. I've always done my best, and the team's been 100% behind us, building the car for us. It's a fantastically strong team. They've believed in this championship and this challenge for several years, and we've won 6 titles, 5, sorry, he says, and that's some record, but I hope we'll continue. So now, next, we'll look at the whole season from Team Nordauto's eyes. The season opened in Magny-Cours for Team Nordauto with brand new cars, the Alfa Romeo 156 GTA in the brand new European Touring Car Championship. And from the outset, despite the cross fingers of Monica Sips, it was evident that the red Alfa Romeos were the class of the field. After winning the team and drivers title with Giovanardi in 2001, they started 2002 superbly. Giovanardi won both races, Lorini second in both. We had no gauge of our competitors' performance during the winter, says Monica Sips, the team boss at Nordauto. BMW and Volvo were new to us, and all we could do was work on our car. It seems we have a very competitive car, and I have to say that this is a great start to the season, and no doubt about it, looking back, Magny-Cours was one of the best races of the season for us, because we were so pleased with what we've done. Silverstone, round 2. Race 1 won by Nicola Lorini ahead of Giovanardi, and race 2, well, the opposite way round. Giovanardi back in front of Lorini. 2 races and 2 1-2 finishes at Silverstone. Brno in the Czech Republic. Double wins for Giovanardi, but Lorini 3rd in both races. Opposition coming from Volvo and BMW, and it's starting to strengthen. From the cold of the Czech Republic to the heat of Spain. Early June in Jarama, Alfa still on top. Giovanardi beat Lorini in race 1. In race 2, Lorini was ahead of Gio. Weather couldn't have been much different at Anderstorp in Sweden. Torrential rain. The first race won by Lorini, Giovanardi in 2nd place. But for the first time all season, Alfa failed to win a race. In the second, it was a BMW, Jörg Müller, who was victorious, with Giovanardi 4th and Lorini in 5th place. Alfa's utter domination of the championship, in terms of results at least, had finally come to an end. At Oschersleben, BMW were looking much stronger. They handled better and they'd shed some weight. 2 wins for Dirk Muller's BMW. Giovanardi was 4th in race 1, scored nothing in race 2. Larini was 6th in both counters. It was a tough and bruising weekend for Nordauto Team GTA. Not one of the high spots. Oschersleben was a circuit that gave us lots of problems. The technical characteristics of the circuit didn't work at all with our cars. It was really a moment in the season where we worked as hard as we could, but got nowhere. But for the rest of the season, we learned from those problems. And by Spa, Giovanardi, his bad period continuing, had got just 2 points from 2 races. Larini won the first race in the damp, but scored nothing in the second. Jörg and Dirk Muller, the BMW drivers for the Schnitzer team, both starting to rack up the points as the balance swings subtly away from red car domination and to a more even playing field. But at Enna, the Sicilian speeddrome, Fabrizio Giovanardi shattered the opposition. 2 wins, bouncing back into a substantial championship lead. Larini was 2nd and 4th, but Giovanardi was the man at Enna. Pergusa was the last race before we came here to Donington, and it was a big show for Giovanardi and for Alfa Romeo, and really took a big step forward there towards the championships. And of course from Enna they went on to claim the drivers and teams title at Donington Park in Great Britain, the penultimate round. And even though Nicola Larini failed to claim runner-up spot in the championship, Giovanardi claimed his 6th touring car title in 8 years with Nordauto Racing. Monica Sips, the boss of Nordauto Racing, has always loved motorsport. She started as a rally driver in 1984, moved on to co-driving, and it was as a co-driver for Mauro Sips that she met the man who was to become her husband and her business partner. The pair founded their team, Nordauto Racing, in 1991, and have barely looked back since. But at the beginning, Nordauto Racing was very different from how it is now. When we started down this path, says Monica, it was just 3 women. 3 women managed by a woman. That was my first experience of racing, even though I had some base in the world of rallying. Racing was really very new to me. Well, it started almost as a hobby. They prepared private cars for the Italian Touring Car Championship. Their second season, they won the Italian series with Tamara Vidali, and after beginning as privateers, Alfa gave us the Super Touring Championship to race in, says Mauro. And that meant starting with Fabrizio Giovanardi in 1995. Well, Giovanardi went on to win the Spanish Touring Car Championship in 97, before the Italian Super Touring title in 98 and 99. In 2000, he was the Euro STC champion, as in 2001, In 2002, the European touring car title was his. I take care of all the logistics, all the supervision, managing the drivers, the trucks and everything else, everything to do with the factory and to do with the racetrack. I'm responsible for the European Championship and also our company in technology, which does all our racing development.
Come direzione sportiva di anche degli altri programmi nella quale la tecnologia è impegnata.
So a woman amongst the men in the racing world. But Monica Sips is certainly not just here to make up the numbers. She masterminds a heavyweight operation backed by the might of the Alfa Romeo factory, and she delivers the goods for them year after year. The whole world is a man's world. Honestly, since the beginning, being part of this world wasn't the easiest thing. I really had to prove myself, fight a lot harder, perhaps be a lot more aggressive and elbowing people occasionally just to prove that I had the right to be here. Well, Fabrizio Giovanardi knows Monica Sips perhaps as well as any other. How does he find her as a boss? Rather generously says it's hard to believe she's a woman from a mental point of view. I think she thinks like any other team boss, any man, because she's able to manage a team. It's a very difficult job managing the drivers, and when you want to win, you have to be ultra professional. But away from this world, she's a woman again. Well, Monica and Mauro, the husband and wife team, split the responsibility. Each of us has the chance to give full time to this racing operation without it being a problem for our partners, he said. And this is something that only happens if you share the same passion and belief. Nobody is away if your partner, nobody's happy if your partner's away every weekend. But for us, it's not a problem. We're away together as part of our beautiful war machine. And a beautiful and successful war machine it is. Nordauto GTA Racing winning the drivers, teams and manufacturers title in the European Touring Car Championship this year. And that is their 7th title in 12 years of racing.
With LG Electronics, digitally yours.